I know the next challenge we're going to tackle will be qi, and you paved the way for talking about qi because we need understanding of probably center core keeping one to arrive there. As we move on to the topic of qi, what are the elements that we should keep in mind?
Yes, so previous discussions, we spoke about consciousness. There's almost like different layers to it. It's multifaceted. It is a singular thing, but it also has many kind of layers. The center core being something that almost everything possesses. Everything has a center core. Whether it's a cell or an atom or you, everything has a center core. So we kind of need those elements to kind of be able to talk about.
What is qi when we talk about qi?
So maybe let's start with the main misconception, because everyone talks about qi. Every book and movie and whatever, people talk about qi. People refer to it like it's an energy, something that you could either maybe measure, or they haven't found a way to measure it, or they think of it as force. But energy and force belongs to the physical world. It's almost like something tactile and measurable. Qi, maybe the best way is like if someone looks up string theory in physics, they describe the universe in terms of vibrating strings. So our 4 dimensions are made up of vibrating strings. These strings you can think of like if you play a guitar and you play a note, it gives a particular vibration. That vibration, that pattern, is what makes up all the elementary particles in our universe. So everything that you engage with has like at its base level a vibration. It's almost like a string being played, a note being played. So if you think of our world, it's like a kind of a symphony of different vibrations and different interactions. But all those notes are like information. So if you have a record player, an old record player, you have little grooves, and it gives like a pattern, and that becomes the music that we hear. So the qi is this information, these patterns, these strings, carrying information for all function. But these strings are interesting in that they can fold into a very tiny space so that they change dimension and then go through to another dimension. So in string theory and theoretical physics, these strings pass through multiple dimensions and they carry information through multiple dimensions. So they postulate there must be at least 10 dimensions. Even though they can't do an experiment in another dimension, mathematically they can see that it can work. But when we say 10, that's just a guesstimate. There could be lots more, right? But you need at least 10. So the 4 that we live in, our dimension, but there's another 6. But in Buddhism, actually, there's at least 13 in order to explain our reality. So when people talk about self-nature or a Buddha, that's when the consciousness moves up to 13 of these dimensions. But the qi is the information being passed along. It is what gives rise to all function in our universe. So at a very base level, nothing can happen without qi. The qi is everywhere. So when someone says, I've got more qi, or my qi is this, they're talking nonsense, because qi is everywhere in everything. So in Hinduism, they call qi a chakra. There's like, in the human body, there's millions of chakras everywhere. Every cell at its base level has a chakra. So yes, there's those kind of 7 main chakras that they often talk about. You see often drawings and things, there's like a chakra at the base of the spine and it goes up to the top of the head. But that's just sort of 7 main ones. But there's millions everywhere in the body. But it's also in all things. It's what carries the information from our consciousness to this reality so that we can experience this reality. That information of what happens here once again gets carried back to consciousness as well. So it's not just like a one-way sort of direction for the information. Information comes here, but it also goes back to our consciousness, our bigger consciousness, if you will. This two-way street.
Wow. I've never seen or understood qi as information before. When you said information, does it mean that everything carries information as everything has qi?
We live in an information dimension, if you will. Everything is information. It's like even a hologram, it's information.
May I just ask, what's the qi of this cup, for example? I understand that human beings, we all have qi, but for an object,
the particles for the cup cannot exist without the qi.
So it's the information that glue the particles together.
Yeah, based on the vibration, it's going to give you a particular particle or particular energy bond. Because it isn't really particles. It's kind of more like energy bonds that make up something and we go, it's this, it's that, or the other. But it's the information for, let's say, the particles that make up your cup or the water or the whatever. So it's just that kind of information creates something that's dense like the cup, whereas an organic, it's different, and so there's different types of qi, if you will, but carrying that information.
Does the qi come from inside or it comes from outside?
Yeah, so this is the thing. It folds. So there's something as well people can look up. It's called the Calabi-Yau manifold. So you have surfaces or planes, but they fold up so that in such a small way that it changes dimension, a particular way that it's folding and changing. So it's here with us all the time, the other dimensions. We're just not experiencing it. It's like it's a hairbreadth away from us. It's here, but we're not engaging with it. But these things can sometimes also be described on a very large scale, but it comes down to the same thing. So it's a bit like a loop. Something very small eventually opens up to something very big, and something very big opens up to something very small. Because scale to us is perspective. Like in relativity, from one person's point of view, something is like this and true, and from another person's point of view, something else is true, but it's for each of them it's true. But if you stand away and observe them, it seems like it's different. It's not the same.